What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's edition of the Tigs Bits Podcast. I'm your old buddy, JR the Handler. As always, we've got Chad Blossy, the one-man posse, known all over social media world these days. We've got the namesake of this podcast, Mr. Tigs himself, on the ones and twos, making it all happen. And this week, we've got a real special guest. It's the 50th episode of the Tigs Bits Podcast, so we thought we'd bring on someone really special for this episode. It being right here next to sports season. I know everybody's drafting their fantasy football teams this week. We got none other than ESPN sports royalty, Mr. Marty Smith, coming on today to talk a little sports, a little music, a little down-home culture, and all good things going on in his world. He's got a new book coming out in September. He's got his own podcast. He's got 10 TV shows, speaking engagements. I mean, it's nothing he doesn't do, and we're going to get into that with him today. So make sure you hit the like, rate, subscribe, notification buttons anywhere you listen to podcasts. Go to YouTube. Check us out there. You can hit all those buttons there as well. It sure helps the show. But without further ado, here's Marty Smith.
Say, boys, good morning. Yeah, it's hell for you guys. It's what, 8 o'clock?
It is. Yeah. It's bright and early.
Boys, that's a hell of an ask on my part to drag y'all out of bed this early. However,
oh man, no, it's a trial run for tailgating, Marty. I mean, this is, I'm an LSU guy. It's time to get the blood flowing, start to get up early, so this is just part of the ritual.
So did you just like put a damn bourbon IV in your arm? Is that part of y'all's pregame action there? Because
pretty much.
There are very few places that are like that place. And I get asked all the time, what is the best experience in college football? And I'm very fortunate. I've seen a lot of them. But Saturday night in Death Valley there's none like it. There's just nothing like it, man. And I love so many different experiences throughout college football. I love whiteouts at Penn State. That's an amazing experience. Being down in Oxford for the game day experience is wonderful. But, man, ladies and gentlemen, the sun has made its way toward the western sky, and it is Saturday night in Death Valley. There's just nothing like it.
Not a thing, man. You giving me chill bumps from the jump.
It gives me chills, too, and I don't do it worth a damn. I can't say it right, but, boy, I know what's up.
You know what's up.
We were talking last week about the hype videos, how there's nothing you can do now with the modern advent of these hype videos. There's nothing you can do as a casual fan that you can do to escape it now, because as soon as they play one of those hype videos a month before preseason or before the A-Day game or the whatever team inter-squad game is, they have gotten so good at these hype videos that they will just make you run through a dang brick wall. Has it not?
You don't want to escape it. I mean, if you love college football, that is the primer for the anticipation of Labor Day weekend. And I will tell you, JR, that's one of the key evolutions of college football programs over the last several years is the importance of those videos, and not just the preseason ones, but the random Tuesday in October.
Yeah.
Because not only do they keep the fan base engaged and the fan base excited, they also are used in recruiting.
Right.
And these young people who are being recruited not just as football players or basketball players or softball players, but students. Part of the human element is we want to be part of something bigger than self. We want to feel belonging. And those videos have become so important in the overall scope of student body recruitment, certainly in football recruitment. And the fact that so many of them are done by students themselves is remarkable. And that's what Cameron wants to do. My son's a senior in high school right now. He wants to edit video. That's what he wants his profession to be. And I keep telling him what you want to be doing is, go to these kids that play football at your school and tell them, hey, I'll make you a video. And just start getting that stuff on paper. He's really talented, if I do say so. But
I can imagine. So it probably runs in the blood.
They are very
there.
important.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And when we were all, because we're all relatively the same age, when we were all coming up in high school, I mean, it was literally a VCR tape that coaches would put together with splicing camcorders together to send off. And now I've seen some of those that my friends put out for their kids in middle school and high school, and they look like what college did then. But now the college ones are as good as any ESPN put together package or WWE package or anything, the way they put these things together.
The thing that's most interesting to me is this. I was just talking, Netflix is doing a NASCAR series, a la Full Swing or Drive to Survive, about the playoffs that are getting ready to start here in a couple weeks. And they came over to my house, and I did this 3-hour interview for them. And I was talking about how special it was as a kid. I can remember sitting on the edge of the church pew with my daddy with a stance, with a posture that as soon as amen came out of his mouth, we were darting for the door because we didn't want to miss the green flag at Wilkesboro or Martinsville or Talladega. But that was the only time we got to see NASCAR. Now, with where we are, fast forward 30 years, you can consume as much as you want when you want. All right? I actually said that I think that's sort of diluted that product a little bit. But now you think about college football, for those of us in the South especially, we want as much as we can possibly consume.
All of it.
And isn't that interesting how, and I could be dead ass wrong, y'all. I could be totally wrong about the hardcore NASCAR fan. They may want all of it. But I know the hardcore college football fan does.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, it's like anything. There's no playbook. We don't know what's going to happen when we make these little turns in society or in media and things. You don't know what it's going to do. What's the chain reaction going to cause? Well, like you were saying earlier, the student athletes getting to see these hype videos as well. A lot of these athletes may or may not ever even get the chance to visit these campuses, but watching that hype video, and I know you and I talked about it last time we caught up a couple months ago because you had just traveled to somewhere, and we were talking about stadiums and how amazing these facilities are, and now that's what they do when they're clipping in their hype videos. It's not just on-field stuff. It's showing the locker room. It's showing walking through the locker room with just these damn near billion-dollar locker rooms and field houses they have with the hologram projectors and the rings and the glow in the dark and the laser stuff. I mean, it's just gotten to a point that it's as big as it's ever been. And like you said, it could take away from some, but boy, it sure does. It helps the other one. So that's a good something to think about.
It is. And it's like you're there. You know what I mean? Like you get to experience what's going on at that place, right? So you haven't even been there, but you've seen so much there that you feel like that you've already been there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, it's the same thing. It's like this in fall camp when John Summerall, they were doing a hype video, and he's standing there in the middle of the field, and he's talking, we're in the vet, lock the gates, it's time to go. And, man, dude, like I said that day, I went out and cut my grass with passion. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just a fan, so right. It's super awesome to see that, man, and like give me more. Anytime something pops up, I'm going to consume it. I'm going to watch it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's awesome to see, man.
That was kind of my next lead-in was going to be there. Marty, we had on Coach John Summerall, Troy's head football coach, a few weeks ago, and Blasey and I both went to Troy State together. And we were talking about the evolution with him, because when I was in school, it was literally you walk up with your student ID, you put your beer over here on one side of the fence, you walk up with your student ID, you go right around the fence, you pull the beer through the fence, you walk in. I mean, it was nothing. We didn't have the end zones filled in. We didn't have luxury boxes. I mean, same thing with Fieldhouse. And now, 20 years after I was there, I go back and it's like, oh my gosh, stadium looks like what Bryant Denny did to me then as an 18-year-old. And just everybody coming up. And that was one thing I wanted to talk about today is, Tigs being in Louisiana and us being Troy guys. I see Tulane's in the top 25 to start the year after a great run last year. Troy with a 12-2 season, one of the best we've had in a long time.
Getting votes.
Do you think the playing field, it's going to be a more even playing field now with the way everything's restructured, with the conferences all aligning to where it's looking like we're going to have even less big conferences? But with the NIL and everything that's involved, do you think it's even the playing field, or do you think it's going to separate it even more?
I don't know. It is nobody does.
No.
Right.
But when you look at it on paper, here's what I see. All right, so first and foremost, the college football that I fell in love with as a kid is dead. It's extinct.
Yep.
All right? And I am all for, and so are the coaches, by the way, despite the fact that some people are analyzing what the coaches are saying as anti-NIL. That's not the truth. Every coach that I've talked to is for the players benefiting from their performance, from their brand, etc. Where it's gotten a little haywire is originally NIL was instituted for that reason. All right? You name them. Bryce Young, random example. Bryce Young wins the Heisman Trophy. Bryce Young, is a generational talent. Bryce Young deserves to benefit from that. But that's not what it is. It is pay for play. And that is not what it was designed to be. Right. And it's pay for play to the point where states have passed legislation that benefits their in-state universities to offer greater benefits in recruiting. That is not what it was designed to be, but that's what it is right now.
Right.
Okay? Now, add the portal in there, and what happens? There's a great chance that Troy's best players are going to be courted by Power 5 schools.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
So are your best players going to go, okay, maybe I was overlooked in recruiting, but because I've shown out over here at Troy, now Power 5 school XYZ want to give me an opportunity. And, oh, by the way, they say they're going to pay me to come there. What them kids going to do?
They're going to go every time.
It's tough.
Because you can't match
Yeah.
checkbooks with those big schools. I mean, you just can't when you talk about the backer base at those big schools.
Conversely, there's going to be the young people who got an opportunity at a big school, maybe it didn't work out, and they're going to be able to jump in the portal and go to another university that may not be Power 5 or whatnot. So it's very transient now.
Yeah.
And
It is.
it's just a very different experience than it was for, if JR's saying we're all the same age, than what we grew up with.
Right.
And
It is. Yeah.
and so now, on top of that, I wonder what the next shoe to drop is. We've seen all the conference realignment, and we have Big Ten schools in Los Angeles, and we have, it's just like it's all over the place.
Right.
And so, what does that really mean? Football's fine. Football is king because football pays for all the other sports. And the networks, ours included, are paying for the right to put football on TV. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, what does that mean for swimming and diving? What does that mean for volleyball? I don't know. That's why I opened the discussion. I don't know what any of this means.
Yeah.
And I wonder at which point, and this may never happen, but folks like Jim Harbaugh are advocates for this. When you're talking about damn near 9 figures a school in television revenue for member institutions, at what point does that make its way to the player level?
Yeah.
Right? Because they're the ones putting on the show. Well, if it makes its way to the player level, what happens then? all those guys got to deal with all that income. And so there's a lot going on here, man. And
there really is.
There's never been a period that had this much change at once, this influx of alterations all at the same time. So we're all still processing what it all means because nobody really knows.
Right.
I can't imagine being 18, 19 years old, making multiple millions of dollars, potentially even, hey, $100,000 when I'm 19 years old. And I mean, I feel like I've won the lottery and I could move to Mars. You know what I mean? It's
$100,000 at 47 years old is a lot of money.
It is.
It's a lot of money. I don't care how much money you got.
A lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and Marty, you bring up a good point. You know, talking about this thing, it's such a complicated wheel, and there's so many moving parts to this thing. It's like, so as a smaller school guy, as a group of 5 guy here, little plug to the Group of 5 Guys podcast there, unintentionally, but no, it's being a Group of 5 person and a Troy fan. You know, you look where are we winning right now? Well, I think we've been winning lately because we've had a great coach. He's doing great things there. We're not losing those people to the portal. They know they can go there and they can be on television. They can start and they can showcase their talent, and they're choosing that right now. And we're able to also fill holes in depth and bring in players because of the portal where they're, you know, somebody else is playing somewhere and not happy, and we're increasing depth. And we're playing like John Summerall's done a great job of managing that portal really well to his advantage, but it can flip so rapidly. You know, suddenly he leaves and another coach comes in, and then there's just this great, you know, escape with players leaving. So it's so fickle right now, and there's so many different directions it could go. I'd like to think, hey, the playoffs open up next year. Now, as a team like a Troy or anybody else in the Group of 5 conferences, there's a pathway to get to the playoffs and have your opportunity. But who knows what's going to happen between now and then, man? It's so, you know, it's like I said, it's very fickle, and I don't know which way it's going to go either. So
there's
we'll
so
see.
much talent. There's so much talent everywhere.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Sun Belt, for example, there is so much talent in that league, and that league is so strong, and the brands within the league are so strong, and they've been very smart at championing and ensuring and showcasing rivalries in that league. And I just think they've done a really good job in that league. I love that conference. I love the entertainment value of the conference. If you're a college football fan, then they've done such a good job with the programs are strong. So many of them are strong. And I mean, I was talking about this on another podcast. There's a young man named Caden Smith who played at Appalachian State, and he has a podcast that really focuses on the Sun Belt. And, I mean, when you look at the fact that as good as JMU is, random example, right? They couldn't even compete for the postseason yet. And when they can, look out, because they have built a great program there. And, you know, you have the Marshalls and you have the Troys and you have the Appalachian States and the Georgia Southerns and all these schools that are established, like passionate fan bases and great players. And my hat's off to that league because they have navigated all of this so well.
And
they
it's
really
like,
have.
And like Blasey said, it's so hard to navigate that portal. I mean, the best coaches have problems.
24/7, 365.
And it doesn't matter. The crazy thing that I talk about with people is when it goes down right after the season ends, and this happened just in last year's season when Georgia won the national championship. 3 months later, one of their second best wide receiver announces he's going to Alabama, who they just beat in the national championship game.
Right.
I mean, that seems something we would never thought we'd be able to say in our lifetime. You know, used to you had to sit out a year and this kind of stuff, but now with it, you're like, you won, you beat it, and now you're going to play for the team you beat and won the championship with. But when you have all those deals back in the back end, there's no telling what. Used to, you could say why. Well, they didn't win, so we can go over here. I want to play with this coach, or I want to play with this player I went to high school with. But now, who knows why they're actually making these decisions? And to swap between would seem lateral movements seems absurd back in the day, but now it's just common practice. It happens every week.
We don't know the why, JR.
It's crazy.
You never know what the why is there. You talk about him going over to Alabama from Georgia, and then Georgia just fills that hole right in with Missouri's best wide receiver.
Right.
And so it ends up being, and it's very difficult. I mean, these coaches frustrated is an understatement.
Yeah.
I could only imagine.
The recruiting schedule is outrageous. Those guys are never off, and that frustration has really started to be much more publicly vented if you look at social media, which I try to stay the hell away from that, but it's part of my job. So
right.
I do, from a news perspective, have to pay attention. But college football or college athletics in general are in a unique place. And you cannot forget that football pays for everything.
Right.
Yeah.
There are some universities that basketball is profitable, some.
A handful, maybe.
But football pays for all.
Right. And we could get on here all day and talk football because we all love it. But let's change gears a little bit here, and I want to we'll talk about a few things before we get into what I want to talk to you about, music, because we hadn't got to really catch up. We've sent some texts lately, but I know Tigs and I have our abilities and attributes, but there's something that you guys on the right side of my screen, Blasey and Marty, both have, is you guys both participate in some extreme sports. I don't know if Blasey or Tigs know this, but Marty is a world-class cornhole player and actually holds a Guinness Book of World Record for tossing cornhole.
I did not know that.
That's awesome.
It's not nearly as
Wow.
impressive as JR makes it sound. However, I appreciate you. Last year, I have a show called Marty and McGee that I do with my buddy Ryan McGee on the SEC Network, and in the fall, we lead into SEC Nation, which is college game day for the SEC. And our coordinating producer, the guy that oversees those shows on the road, Baron Miller, had this idea. He was like, I want to break a Guinness Book of World Record live on the air, and we're going to do it longest cornhole throw. So I love this idea. So we fly this dude in from London who's what's called an adjudicator. He's the guy who says it's legit or not. You either, I'm confirming that you are a world record holder or not. And so we fly this dude in, pay him a bunch of money. It ain't cheap. And he comes in, all right, and we have these cornhole boards 76 feet apart, I think, or 77, something like that. And
Which normal is 27 feet, correct?
yes, that's correct. So
Big toss.
10 to 12 Eastern time. It was Georgia hosting Tennessee was when we did it. Mid-October, I think. And 10 to 12 was the allotted time that we had to pull this off. So I did this big feature that week on Jaydon Daniels, LSU's quarterback. Phenomenal kid, by the way. And so we call it lead and tag. When you do a big feature like that for College Game Day or for SEC Nation, you're on live and you introduce the piece, and then the piece runs on tape, and then you're live out of the piece. And so I did that. When that was over, it was like 11:40 Eastern time. I'm done for the day. I'm looking at my watch going, by God, I got 20 minutes to break this damn world record. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to throw these bags till that sucker goes in. All right. So I had already thrown 6 bags before that. And Barron had told us that he'd been practicing for months. And he told us the best way to throw the bag was vertically, okay, perpendicular to the ground.
Okay.
So we'd all been throwing them that way. So I step in there, and we had these pros, these American Cornhole League guys were there with us, also trying to break the record. And one of them looked at me. I threw the first bag, and he looked at me. He's like, "Why are you throwing it like that?" I'm like, "I don't know. Boss told me to." He goes, "How do you throw a cornhole bag?" I'm like this. He goes, "Throw it like that." I ain't even lying to y'all. Air mail. Thunk, straight in the damn hole. I lost my ever-loving mind. I went bonkers. I'm running around like I won the damn Super Bowl.
Like Steph Curry hitting a hole in one.
Seriously, right. I mean, losing my mind. Poor Jordan Rogers, my coworker, he jumped off the set and ran over to me. It was probably a 20-yard, 30-yard run. Picks me up, and I'm like pumping my fist in the air. I elbowed him right between the eyes, damn near knocked him out. And it was funny afterwards. Laura Rutledge, the unbelievably talented host of SEC Nation, Laura goes, "Marty's broken this world record. Marty, how does it feel?" And I said, "Laura, I got to be honest with you. I'm a father of 3 wonderful children whom I love so much. I've been married for 23 years to the greatest person I've ever known, my wife, Lainey, but the greatest moment of my life is winning the Redneck Olympics." And yeah, I mean, just like it's crazy. But JR, I don't know if you know. Do you know about the big controversy?
Oh no, I hadn't heard.
All right, so there was big controversy in the aftermath. They had to go to the replay because I had on triple white Air Jordan 1s, low tops. I stepped on the white line. Okay, there's a white line. There's like the line you can't step over. So I'm on this line, and I throw this bag. I run around like an idiot, heathen. And they like go to the tape, and this adjudicator, Will, he has to confirm whether or not it was legal. So ultimately he says, yes, I was fine. I wasn't over the line. Great. We celebrate. I have this plaque, world record. Well, then all these people, especially there's an old boy down there in Arkansas, probably down there in Poe somewhere. He takes to Twitter on this crusade that it's not legal because my arm and hand went over the line.
Oh my Lord!
Oh, that's legal.
Oh my God!
I mean, dude, it was really kind of humorous.
I can imagine. But
Woo pig, by God!
That was Justin's cousin.
He probably was.
So you still officially have the record, right? So is it all
I don't
shook
know,
out?
brother. I heard that somebody broke it somewhere, so I don't know if I still own it, but I do
you held
know
it
this.
at one point. Yeah.
Because of the way the calendar works, our record is going to be in, I think, the 2024, or maybe it's either the 23 or 24 Guinness Book of World Records will be in.
Oh,
That's
man.
awesome.
Because
That's
of
awesome.
It wasn't broken before ours made it into the book. Make sense?
Okay.
The,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
the deadline for qualification time
Right.
period, and that year's book, you'll get it.
So
Well,
allegedly, we're going to be in that book. But by God, I got an official plaque that they sent from London
That is awesome.
that has
man.
this stamp on, has my name on it.
Hey, they can't ever take that. They can't take that away from you, Marty.
I'm going to box it up and ship it down to Arkansas.
Yeah, send it to
Man.
that guy. Yeah, there
Send
you go.
it to him.
Man, as a kid growing up, you always wanted to be in the Guinness World Book of Records. Try to come up with something to get in that book. I'd get that book every year and go through it. You know, what can
Isn't
I
it
do,
fascinating?
man? It's
Some of the things that
unbelievable.
people do.
I think it's great.
Yeah,
think
I
it's
know
great.
random things. I know at one time, Angelo Poffo, who was the father of the Macho Man Randy Savage and Leaping Lanny Poffo, he was the world record holder in sit-ups. I think Angelo could do I think he did like 5,000 sit-ups in a row or something crazy like that. It was something like, I don't know, 48 hours worth of sit-ups or something like that back in the late
That's
60s.
crazy.
I think he was in there.
How many sit-ups could y'all three do?
I cannot do sit-ups.
Not
Sit-ups
that
are not my jam, man. Like that hurts.
Yeah,
That
DDP
hurts.
says traditional sit-ups are not good for my back and my core, so I have to do some alternative stuff these days.
Yeah.
Hey, and we actually had Dallas on a few weeks ago. We were talking about strength and stuff, and that's why I was bringing up the alternative sport in the world record, because Blasey, I don't know if we've even talked about that on the show, but some years back, Blasey used to do long drive competition.
I did.
For golf. And I remember you talking to our friends on our, I don't know if it was a text thread back then or whatever, and you would send us these numbers of stuff you were doing, and we're like, good God. And you're like, yeah, but you ought to see these other guys with these.
Well, I was the tiniest cat out there, man. You know, these monsters I'm around and Legends and Long Drive, and here come my little butt walking up, you know, with a standard stock ping driver, and they're looking at me like I'm a fool. And then I'm hitting it out there with them. There's, you know, most of the time they're still getting me by 10 or 12 yards, but they were more amazed that I could do that with my frame and that normal club, and they've got these at time like 52 and 55-inch shafts, and I couldn't even hold those things up, you know. So no, that was a lot of fun, man.
What would you say is the number one most important aspect of driving a golf ball? I think it's flexibility, because you look at these guys like Will Zalatoris and Justin Thomas, who if they don't eat a cheeseburger, they're gonna fall through their butt, and they hit it 400 yards.
Yeah,
it is. No, it is, man. It's, you know, it's creating that torque, like you said, and that flexibility helps to allow to do that, and creating that torque and timing is everything. You know what I mean? So you do any of these moves one ahead of the other, you get garbage, you know. But you get that timing, and you build and you create that torque where they get that big shoulder turn, and everything stays here, and it's like that's like the old screen doors you grew up with. You know, you turn one way, one the other, then you let it go. There's a massive explosion that takes place there. So
y'all will love his story. I'm not distracted. I'm looking in my phone for a picture. So every spring I go down and play in Coach Saban's golf tournament, T-Town. All right. I am just starting to play golf. I've played like 30 rounds in my life, okay? I was an athlete through college. I then joined the, redneck softball circuit and started doing a bunch of marathons and triathlons. Okay, that was my athletic path. Well, now I'm into pickleball and golf because I'm old and gray. So I love the sport. Like, I am infatuated with golf. So I suck. Like, if I shoot 100, I'm pumped. Okay. So I go down to Coach's tournament, and I'm confident this time. I've never been confident before. I'm confident that I'm gonna hit fairways and contribute to this scramble. Well, they've stashed me with Coach's golf buddies, one of whom is Greg McElroy's daddy, father-in-law, excuse me. So we start on 15, and we're all, getting ready to, we're small talking. I don't know these guys. They're like, Marty, why don't you lead us off? I'm like, I don't really want to lead us off. I want somebody else to lead us off. Up the damn cart path comes a golf cart, and it's Coach Saban in his, damn basket hat that he wears during camp. And he gets out and he's like, He's like, lead him off. I'm like, Coach, I don't want to. He goes, get up there. I'm like, all right.
Yes, sir.
So by God, I get up there. All right, I got a 5-iron. I'm trying to play this safe. I'm like, all right, just get it in the fair. Just hit it out in the fairway. Everything's fine. Boys, I hit this thing. I bet I hit this 5-iron 215, and 200 of it was dead ass right. So Coach, like, he's like disappointed in me. He just puts his head down like, and I'm like, God, why did that have to happen? Why? So all these other guys I'm playing with are like super good players. Okay. They all hit it out there. So Coach's role in this tournament, the celebrity, they hit like ceremonial tee shots with all the groupings. So Coach steps up there, and I'm like, please, Lord, let him hit this thing right in the water. Like,
shank it.
He duck hooks this thing dead left into the wilderness, and I'm like, nice.
Yes.
So he had said to me after my drive, he's like, next time we're on TV together, don't you think this ain't coming up? So he duck hooks this thing left into the wilderness, and I'm like, I hope you bring it up.
Yes,
Here's
sir.
what I didn't know. What I didn't know was that Coach Saban was hitting autographed golf balls. He signs the golf ball that he ceremonially hits, and whomever grabs it first gets to keep this Nick Saban golf ball. I didn't know this. Well, I go to my ball, well, that's a lie. I go drop, and I'm standing over my ball, and I'm like, well, we ain't gonna hit my ball, so like I'm gonna go up to. I can't find any of my teammates. Like, where did my teammates go? They're all over in the woods scurrying around. I have no idea why. They come out of the woods, and they hand me that. All right. I have this in my backpack for the sole purpose that if Nick Saban ever brings this up on TV, I'm going to go, remember this?
Oh, yeah.
I've never told that story. That's
Hey,
the first
there-
time I've ever told that story.
Dropping exclusives here on the Tigs Bits podcast.
Yes, we are. That's great. That
Well,
is
hey, there
great.
you go. You got the proof if it ever comes up. That's awesome. You mentioned a minute ago, Marty, when you said your sports these days that us middle-aged guys like to play. You brought up pickleball, and I wanted to get to that because I know you've been playing a bunch, and it seems like everybody in the country and probably the world's been playing a lot of pickleball lately. I was watching a video this morning of literally Drew Brees in a doubles match against John McEnroe and somebody, and Drew got him. And I thought John was going to take a swing. And I know talking about our friends and family there in Arkansas, Justin Moore's dad, Mr. Ray, has been trying to get me and Justin to play with him every time I go to Arkansas, and I'm like, I don't even play tennis, Mr. Ray.
You don't
I
have
tried
to.
once or twice.
You don't
That's
have
what he
to.
says.
Big ping pong,
You're
isn't
like,
it?
yeah, you're like Mr. Ray. You just want to get me out there so you can spank us like he does me and Justin. But I've noticed this thing has taken off, and we watched it with the last thing we were talking about, cornhole, because cornhole was a backyard little game that people were playing up until, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. It took off like a wild banshee and has now got its own league. It's got its own endorsements. It's got its own
TV deal. I mean, like
all that stuff.
It's an enterprise.
It really is. And pickleball seems to be right there with it, if not nudging ahead these days. What do you think the big draw is to pickleball, one? And two, how far do you think this thing will go? Do you think it's going to get to where it's – I mean, obviously it probably won't make it to Wimbledon level because that's such a historic –
I think it'll be an Olympic sport one day.
You think so?
Oh, wow.
I could see that. I could see
The
that.
reason that it's so popular is the community. We were just talking about golf. What makes golf so awesome is the community. It's being out there with your buddies, and it's golf is a game that if you just don't hurt yourself, you're going to have an opportunity to score. Right. Pickleball is the most self-inflicted error game I've ever played. And the community is beautiful. I say this often, I was introduced to the game about 5 or 6 years ago. I've been playing it for a lot longer than it had. Like it did explode in the last 2.5, maybe 3. I don't know what that time window is, but I played it before that. And I fell in love with it because at my summer place, I have a summer place in South Jersey on the shore down there. My wife's hometown is Ocean City, New Jersey. And we bought a house there 8 years ago, spend our summers there. And I started playing almost every morning because her aunt and uncle, who are in our parents' generation, play every day. And they were begging my brother-in-law Mike and I to come out there and compete. I am addicted. And I'm going to tell you this, JR, by God. I don't care how athletic you are. I don't care how athletic you think you are. You walk out on a pickleball court and you don't know what you're doing, you think you can out-athletic people, there's going to be an 82-year-old lady with a damn knee brace and a bedazzled poker visor walk out there on that court and whip your ass. Because they know how to place it.
Yep.
And like there's so much strategy involved in pickleball that you have to play to know. And it was funny, the last time I played this summer was right before I came back. Lainey and I, we go up there as a family after our girls are done dance in the spring, and we stay until 2 or 3 days before they go back to school. And last time I played was like, I don't know, 10 days ago against my brother-in-law, and he was like, You SOB. You know you know where I'm going to hit it before I hit it. And that's only because he and I have played with and against each other so much. It's almost like quarterbacks diagnosing what the defense wants to do to them post-snap before it happens. You can see it unfolding in 3D before it unfolds. And, man, it's fun.
We've got courts in our neighborhood, man. I guarantee you right now they are full. Every morning I leave and go out of here. They're playing. I've played a handful of times.
If I wasn't on here with you jokers, by God, that's where I'd be.
Eat up with it, son.
Yeah.
That's
so
what
I get
I'm
it.
talking
I
about.
get it. I need to play more of it, though.
Yeah, well, and that scenario you alluded to there is exactly what happened to our buddy Mr. Justin Moore when he did go play with his dad. His dad finally talked him into going to a little pickleball tournament with him over in Malvern. So Justin's on the way over there. He's like, all right, I'll go, but I only want to play with you. And, I don't want to be around no shooters. They're going to be, I just want to take it easy. But Justin's an athlete, so he thinks he's just going to go whoop all these old people,
It's like
so he
golf.
gets over there. He plays the first one with his dad. He's not very good, so his dad gets mad, don't want to play with him anymore. So himself.
Been there.
And then literally, like you said, like some 75-year-old lady with knee braces on destroys him and is getting on to him because he's not playing right. He's like, I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm new to this game.
The thing, too, is, though, JM's so competitive, I bet it ate his ass.
That's it. That's the only time he went. He won't go back. He hates it. He talks smack about it. He doesn't like the sport now. And he says, it's not a real sport if an 80-year-old woman can beat
That's
me.
a lie. He is wrong. And I'll tell you what,
said.
though, another way it's a lot like golf is, especially if you're a baseball player, like JM, like me.
Yeah.
Like you think you can walk out on the golf course and athlete your way through it. Right. Jack. No shot. I mean, it's almost worse.
Yeah, it's almost counterintuitive because you can't go out there with that strength and aggression thing. Nope. You really have to poise.
And that finish is different too, instead of staying back.
The finish is so different, man. You got to get your hips through.
Yeah.
And you also, another thing I've noticed that is so counterintuitive to baseball is, like, okay, you in baseball, all right, you want to go shoulder to shoulder. All right, if you're hitting a baseball, if you're hitting it right, your eyes on the ball and you want to go shoulder to shoulder. All right, that's the same way in golf, but because the motion is so different, that's one thing I'm still battling. I mean, I hit at least 50% of my golf shots. I'm looking at the damn moon.
Oh, yeah.
And where's the damn golf ball? Who knows where the golf ball goes? It's just,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, in golf, and one concept to really gain early is, the swing is, right, it starts down here. It's to the top in your backswing, and it's your finishing point. Like, you really got to focus on here, and you just happen to hit a golf ball in the middle of that.
Yep.
Like, a lot of people think the swing is to the ball, and after that doesn't matter. No. You're just you hit a ball through that process, and you want to finish to that finishing point, and you can really work on getting to that finishing point. You'll eventually start hitting the ball, but you got to commit to that, So, it's tough.
It's like that backswing's like popping your wrist at the end of a jumper. You can try other stuff and where your hand ends at the end of a jumper, but you watch Michael Jordan, watch Tiger Woods, you're going to see where the finish, it actually does mean a lot to it. Well, we'll get off sports because I know Marty's got to go talk about it on 36 other podcasts and TV shows and books and everything else throughout the rest of the week. But I wanted to talk quickly with you, Marty, about a little music because I know that's one of our passions. I know it's one of yours as long as it has been mine, and we talk about music on here a lot. I know we texted a few weeks ago because I had told the story on here or on Justin's podcast about me going to see Hank Jr. and told the story about how I cried for the first 6 songs and when you sent it, you sent the message to me. I said, Marty, you know exactly what I'm talking about because I know how passionate about music you are. And when it sat in, there was nothing I could do but just stand there and smile, grin ear to ear, and cry. And I wasn't even drunk or anything. It was so good that I couldn't stand it, and I was just thinking my wife got to go see one of our buddies and one of your dear friends, Mr. Eric Church, the Chief, this past weekend. He played 3 nights down here in Orange Beach at the Wharf. Yep. And a bunch of friends and family, and I caught up with Todd and Marshall and Brandon and that bunch, and they hooked me up with some tickets for some friends and family. Of course, we were somewhere else in America working, so I didn't get to go. But going to those concerts now after the pandemic's finally let back up, I know we've talked about it a little bit here and there, but, man, does it feel good to be back to normal. People going to live concerts, places full, no mask, everybody drinking, hugging, singing along the songs. Besides winning a championship that or a ball game or a sport or an event where you get to directly contribute to the outcome, is there anything more gratifying than going to a concert experience when you can be with a bunch of people in unison, in love with the music that someone's putting out?
No, there's not. Not for me. Not for my wife. It is, we're made to gather. Human beings are made to gather, and to be immersed in the same energy together, whether that's church, whether that's, if you're a spiritual person. For me, I love nothing more than the experience of being immersed in that energy exchange between the artist and the consumer. And when all the consumers are pulling in the same direction, which these days is very rare. Mm-hmm. It's a very beautiful thing. And, you talk about Eric. I mean, JR, I'll tell you guys, Justin's been a friend of mine for 15-plus years. I found Justin really, really early on when, he was singing Hank It, and he was singing, Small Town USA, and that first record, when on the cover, he looks like literally he's 12 years old.
Yeah. Mullet and all.
And, he's singing songs that I felt, Justin's younger than me, and I remember hearing that first record and being like, okay, I don't know where this guy's from, but I know he's from a place like Parisburg. I know he's from a place like the town that I grew up in out in Appalachia in the southwest part of Virginia. And then once I met him, I mean, it took us about 42 seconds to be soul brothers.
Right.
But
Yeah.
You talk about church and the talent. I mean, my wife and I were enjoying our weekend this past weekend, and I had back-to-back songs that came on my kind of summer playlist. I had Quitting Time by Morgan Wallen and My Song Will Never Die by Luke Combs. Chief wrote both of those songs and gave them away to his buddies.
Yep.
I mean, you got to think about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're a singer-songwriter, you don't give away songs that you feel like are your best stuff. So what's that son of a gun got in his back pocket?
No joke.
You know what I mean? So, like, I remember during COVID, very, very vividly during COVID, that if I didn't have music, if I didn't have the release that came with that, I don't know what I would have done emotionally. I was very intentional during that time about doing my best to stay out of this thing. Mm-hmm. I tried to read a book every 10 days so I wasn't in my phone. I tried to be very intentional about my time with Lainey and very intentional about my time with Cameron, Mia, and Vivian, not only collectively but individually, because it was the first time in my adult life that I was home. Right. All I've ever done is travel.
Yep.
Right. And so all of that unfolding amid this concern that what if the world doesn't come back? So I'd have a few pops and I'd put on some music, and I'll never forget, one day, text message comes through, and it's church. And there's a MP4 attached to the text. And that's one of my favorite things in the world, when my buddies send me songs early. Because you feel like you're part of something that most people don't get to be.
Yeah.
You are.
And the song was Hell of a View.
Oh, wow.
And this was a year, I guess, before it actually went to market. And that song will forever be so special to me because
And what a poignant song for that time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you need it. And then here your buddy sends you this song, hell of a view. I mean, what a perfect song.
what it says and why it says it, and we're different than most.
Yep.
You know, we may not be what that person needs, but by God, we're what each other needs.
Yeah.
You're right.
You and me together. And no matter what the view is together, it's a hell of a view. And that is such a special, beautiful message. And I mean, the Sunday when we were out here messing around on the lake and at the pool and whatnot, I took a screen grab. Church is so tired. Just every one of my buddies are so tired of my damn buzzed screen grab text. This song's awesome, man. But
Hell, I do it too.
you know, church, Eric saved my life, man. I mean, he saved my life. When my dad died, I did not know Eric yet. And that First Record Centers Like Me provided the perfect vehicle to carry my emotions within that sorrow. And, you know, when you lose your dad, I hope all three of y'all still have your dads. I don't know your personal stories. But
I don't.
whether your dad is your best friend, whether he's your hero, whether you want to do everything together, whether y'all don't get along, you fight, maybe you don't have that close a relationship, your father is a compass, no matter what that relationship is. And when you lose him, that compass is just spinning. It's wayward. And you don't know where to point your rudder. And I was lost, man. And Eric's talent gave me a North Star. And
Wow.
when I got the opportunity to tell him that, it was an interesting time because he was playing a show. This was after he got fired from the Flats tour, and was playing clubs, and he was playing this little old honky-tonk in Greensboro, North Carolina, called Arizona Pete's, and my buddy got tickets, and back then, every ticket was a meet and greet. JR knows those days.
Oh yeah.
You get a ticket, you get to meet the artist.
Oh yeah.
And there was no backstage. The club was so small. There was on stage and behind the bit venue.
At the
So
merch
his meet and
booth.
greet, his meet and greet was on his bus. And so it's December 22nd. It's 3 days before Christmas, and there's a line of people standing outside his bus, cold as all hell. And I'm having this back and forth. Do I tell this man what he means to me, or do I hedge for fear he's going to think I'm a stalker?
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to do it because I knew it would be weird. But the more Jack Daniels I had and the further up I got in line, I said, I'm never going to see this dude again. I'm telling him. I didn't have the balls to look him in the eye. I stuck my hand out, and I said, hey, man, I just want you to know something. It's going to be weird. You saved my life. I lost my daddy this year, and I needed something to hold on to, and that record offered me that tow rope. And I know that you are so much better than what you're playing right now. I know that you are so much more talented than playing these little sewers. But I want you to remember this. Every single night, there is at least one person in there that desperately needs your energy and your spirit and that exchange. And tonight it's me.
Yeah.
And
That's huge. That's powerful, man.
No doubt.
we've been like that ever since.
I mean, that's the ultimate compliment that you could pay an artist or anybody. I mean, that's just that's being a person. That's a one-on-one thing. That came from your heart, which is what you are, Marty. You're very authentic. That comes across on TV and everything else. You speak from the heart. You can't hide it. You're not able to hide that. And I love that about you. And I know that he loved that about you too, hearing that, because I can only imagine being on that end of what that guy was going through at that time. To hear that message, he needed that too, you know?
Well, and JR knows, I mean, you can describe it right now. When you're in that portion of a career, like you were with Party, all right? It's 230 nights a year on a bus with the band, by the way, and the road guy, by the way.
or a van and a trailer.
or a
most of the
van, and you're sleeping underneath the seats,
Yep.
and you're going town to town, and it's exhausting. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
And you can completely lose sight of why you love it. And I know now, because I've been around that industry enough now to have had these conversations with some people. Like, that is an injection of life into the artist and the band that is, I think, rare, because most meet and greets are, hey, nice to meet you, smile for the camera, move along as fast as you possibly can.
Right.
It's not that you don't appreciate the fans, because you love the fans, but that doesn't make it easy.
No.
Well, like you said, back and going back then, I can remember being with John when he was first on his way up, and I knew he was going to be a big old star, because the same thing, like you said, I remember the first time going into a little rehearsal space in someone's basement in East Nashville, and they were doing a rehearsal, him and Terry and Lee and Howie, our old drummers, actually our old drummer Howie's basement, and I stepped in while they were rehearsing for about 3 songs, and I said, this guy's Alan Jackson if he wants it. If nothing gets in his way, this guy's Alan Jackson. Or a career like that, and we went out on the road, and nobody knew who he was. We could, we're on these tours, we ain't got a song on the radio. We're out opening for church, and Rockford, Illinois, at some big theater, and we're in the van, and I've got the van and trailer, the little white Ford E320, conversion or 12-passenger van parked between 5 of Church's big old tour buses.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we just drove there from playing some crappy club at, in Indiana, where we had to stop at the gas station and get some, chips and salsa, because that was the only thing that felt like a meal, because you got to mix 2 things together. So that was like a delicacy on the road. And then get there and, have a meet and greet, and only have like 3 people show up, and it's a little disappointing, but one of the 3 is a little boy who's dressed just like John and's got on his shirt, I want to party, and it's like, you don't need but 3. If one of them's that kid, you don't need but 3. If one of them's Marty Smith telling you how you changed his life, and that artist only needs that one person to give them that energy, because they can play for that one person. And one of our heroes that we've talked about over the years, Marty, was Charlie Daniels. And I love Uncle Charlie saying about never look at the empty seats, because that's not who we're here to play for. We're here to work for these people who did buy seats, that got a babysitter, that filled up their car with gas, bought a motel room, paid $20 for parking and $10 a beer. That's who we're playing the show for. And as long as that interaction is still there, I think with all these distractions from social media and the TikTok age and all the things we're going through, because guys, we've seen a lot. I mean, we remember as kids 8-tracks in cars, to now, you got an earbud in with the world in your ear. That's never going to change. That music and the interaction between listeners and artists, because they're making the soundtrack to our lives, and you pull from that universe of music to create your playlist and your soundtrack for your life. I can remember those same things. You'd get to the show, you have the big high from doing the show, because we drove all day, and it's like, it was a packed bar. It was awesome. Minneapolis. All right, we're going down the next one. And then an hour down the road, all that energy goes away. And then it starts sinking in. It's like, boy, I'm tired. Boy, my shoulder hurts. My back hurts. Man, this van stinks. I wish Terry'd quit farting. And then a Robert Earl Keen song would come on. So I'm coming home, or, What I Really Mean, or something like that. Or a Greg Allman song comes on the radio, Multicolored Lady or something like that. And it's just like, it takes all that weight off of you and sinks you back down to your level of your soundtrack, to where I'm in the right spot. This is the part of the movie where this happens. We'll get back up on the high horse tomorrow on it, but you got to make it through the downs to wait on the ups, because they are worth waiting on. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think music, if you blend it right, I know there's some people who don't like music. Same with some people who don't like sports, and that's some people like sweet tea, some people like unsweet tea.
God bless.
But
I don't know how you go without music, though. I mean, music, literally, if you say there's like no such thing as magic on this earth, I disagree with you wholeheartedly, because music is magic, and it's the closest thing to magic that I've ever seen, at how it makes you feel. And like you said, the community, you get people together, and what you experience, dude, it's unbelievable. It's the greatest feeling that you can get, So
You go to a show, you go to a JM show, and he sings If Heaven Wasn't So Far Away. And there's 10,000 people, 12, 15,000 people, 25 at a big amphitheater in the summer, whatever. Mm-hmm. All of them got their phone out, and they're waving that phone. You tell me that's not spiritual?
Oh, yeah.
You tell me that's not being transported to somewhere that only that energy can take you? I mean, it's church. It is a spiritual thing that makes you consider the deepest, most vulnerable pieces of yourself that you may not consider every day. And the beauty of music to me is the great ones make me consider those pieces of myself that maybe I'm too scared to admit to myself, or maybe I'm not strong enough to admit to myself, and I then consider that, and maybe I'll make change, or maybe it will empower me to address that piece of myself.
Yep.
And
let you know you're not the only one going through this.
Not alone.
Not
That's
alone.
Right.
I love the journey that you go through. You know, you go to a great show, and I get done. It's the journey of emotions that I experience throughout that night. It's like nowhere else on earth could I have gone through that experience than being right there where I was at this time, this moment in time. You know, so
I got so two things real quick. I got a new book coming out very soon called Sideline CEO. All right. I interviewed all of these championship coaches, Urban Meyer, Mac Brown, Saban, Dabo Swinney, Roy Williams, John Calipari, Jimbo Fisher, Kirby Smart, Kim Mulkey, Patty Gasso, on and on and on, okay? Doc Rivers, all these champions. And at the very end of that book, I felt so like I couldn't figure out the best way to tie it up, because at the end of the book, being an LSU guy, Tigs, you'll love this. When I first started thinking of this book, I happened to run into Dale Brown. I was down in BTR broadcasting Kentucky at LSU basketball. Coach Brown walked over, wanted to introduce me to an actor buddy of his that was at the game with him. So I meet the actor guy, and I said, Coach, I got this idea, man. I want to do this book. I got a title called Sideline CEO. That title is dope.
Yeah,
I mean, that title is on fire, man.
Yes, sir.
And Coach goes, I can see it already. He goes, text me your email. I'm going to send you something in a couple of days. So Coach Brown emails me all of his correspondence with John Wooden over 38 years.
Oh,
What?
wow. God.
Wow.
All right.
Holy
so that's the end of the book.
man. Oh.
This book, look, y'all, I mean, it's the insight in it. Now, I am one of those guys who is fearless in the way of I am going to go do me. And there's a lot of people who don't like people like that. Nick Saban says in the book, mediocre people don't like high achievers, and high achievers don't like mediocre people. Think about that. Because people who are not willing to dig and claw and work and find and beat themselves to death to find the best version often mock those people. Why? Because they're trying to fill up something that ain't in there.
you're right. Absolutely right.
And
Dead
people
on.
who are willing to be that person, who will exhaust themselves in, what does Saban always say? Process over outcome. Brian
the
Kelly,
process.
the reason that Jaydon Daniels had the season he had last year in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, is Brian Kelly saying to him, I don't want perfection, son. I want excellence. And excellence comes every single day by doing what you're supposed to do the best you can do it.
Yep.
All right?
That's it.
Now, how do I wrap this up? And the only way that I could think to do it was, I'm giving away the end of my book, but whatever. I love you guys. It goes back to that song. My song will never die. Because any of you listening who've heard that song, if you haven't, go seek it out right now. Luke Combs, My Song Will Never Die. It says, basically, I won't be here forever, but my song will. Long after I'm gone, My song's going to be here. And long after these coaches pass, long after I'm gone, I'm me. I don't like speaking in the third person. Me. The principles that are in this book and the vulnerability from these individuals that's in this book will be forever. And so there's that. Now, back to music. Another book I want to write, and y'all will love this. I would love to write a book on the class of 89.
Oh.
Alan Jackson, Travis Tritt,
Oh.
Clint Black, Garth Brooks.
Dude, you have to write this book, Marty. You have to. I've listened to hundreds of hours of your podcast and you talking about music and Waylon and all those guys. Oh,
Love
God,
me some
yeah.
Waylon.
You got to do this, Marty.
When I started listening to country music, exact same time frame as when I got into country. Even growing up in the South, I wasn't that into it. I'd hear it. It was okay. And that everything you just mentioned right there is what brought me into country music.
Absolutely.
And who was the wasn't it Mary Chapin Carpenter? Wasn't she in that class?
Well, she, I mean, to my knowledge, JR, you've probably forgotten more about country music than I'll ever know, but to me, the quote-unquote class of 89, I think is those four.
Right.
Garth, AJ, Clint, Tritt.
Okay. Yeah, I think there was, I think I'm right on that. I think there's a female contributor to that bunch that they used to.
It would be her.
That the guys, when you bring it up, the guys always say, "Don't forget about her."
It would be her or Martina or somebody like that. But
it wasn't
dude,
Patty Love.
Patty Loveless. Get out of here with Patty Loveless.
Right.
Oh
I know,
my!
right?
I mean, I love that woman.
I
want to interview her because, dude, when we could get off on some crazy tangents about saddest country music songs of all time, Patty's got one of them.
She's got a bunch of good ones. I mean, in her
She's
voice,
got one of the saddest country.
What song?
Which one
If
is
I
it?
could help you say goodbye. What's that song called?
I'm going to listen to it after
She's
we
got a
wrap all
couple.
this up today. I'm going down a rabbit hole of country today. That's for sure going to happen.
How Can I Help You Say Goodbye?
Yeah,
Song's called How Can I Help You? It's that one where she's like, the basic premise of the song is, I sat on our bed, he packed his suitcase, I held a picture of our wedding day, his hands were trembling, we both were crying, he kissed me gently and walked away. I called up Mama. Mama's in the song. Of course, Mama's in the song.
There has to be.
I called up Mama. She said, time will ease your pain. Life's about changing. Nothing ever stays the same. How can I help you? I mean, dude, come on.
Strong.
I mean,
strong.
Yeah, that's
And
very
that whole
strong.
that whole era.
Doug
Just-
Stone.
And
Come
we
on,
see
Doug
it
Stone.
now.
Never
We
knew
see
love.
it.
Better off in a pine box. Get out of here.
Oh, man.
2 months ago, I went and saw him down here in Destin.
Doug
man. That was
Stone?
awesome. Yes, I did. It was
Let's
great.
go. We can party together, son.
Absolutely.
I tell you who I saw last. We did some shows last weekend up in Minnesota, and two of them on the festival bill with us were one I'd seen recently, Sawyer Brown, which Mark and Hobby, those guys. I mean, they still rocking. And
Speaking of saddest country songs ever, The Walk.
yeah,
Come on.
Yeah.
Man.
give me
Down
you make the hair.
along dusty driveway. What a stud.
Yeah. Well, and the other one on that bill that night, well, I hadn't forgot about him. It's just I hadn't done a show with them ever, I don't think, until the other night was Black Hawk.
Oh, God, dude, why didn't y'all tell me you were playing with all of them? I'd have came down there.
Well, that's what Justin
Where
said.
was it?
This was in like some Hinckley, Minnesota, randomly state fair up in Hinckley, Minnesota. Fair
So wait a
festival
minute
type.
now. It's Black Hawk, Sawyer Brown, y'all.
And Justin, yeah, and I'm trying to think,
That's it. That's the bill.
but two other baby acts, and then that bill, yeah.
Wow.
So Justin and I are side stage watching Black Hawk at 4:30 in the afternoon.
I would have been too, right there.
And
beside you.
there's 6,000 or 7,000 people out there singing every word. Justin goes, look, they know
can
every
smell
word,
the
not just some
rain.
of them.
I mean, they have some hammers. Goodbye says it all.
Oh, yeah.
Sure
Yes.
can smell the rain. Like they are.
The
they
one
are.
the one that got me was the one where he's talking about I'm not strong enough to say no. Don't come on to me because don't try to rekindle this old relationship because
I
I'm not
love
strong enough to say no. I'm
Yep.
like, good, how poignant of us. Hey, and another one a few weeks ago, equally as crazy. we did one where the opening band that day at 3:00 was the Bellamy Brothers.
Why are y'all failing me as friends?
There's the bigger question.
Old
We just
Hippie?
don't. Yeah, dude,
Did they play Old Hippie?
You know they did.
Good
I mean,
God. You got to call me, man.
Redneck Girl. I mean, all of them. Then Randall King, who is one of my new favorite new guys up and coming. Randall King is he's gonna make it. Sammy Kershaw.
Let's go.
Who else?
Do you
was
know
on the
Bones, Sammy's bus driver?
bill? Yes.
What a clown. I've known him forever and ever, amen. He used to drive NASCAR haulers.
Did he really?
Yeah, that was his
wow.
job before he drove Sammy's bus. He's a great dude.
That makes sense. Well, that's right. Sammy was doing the Roots and Boots thing when it's he, Aaron Tippin, and Colin Ray do a three-piece thing where they all share a band and they all go out there at the intro and then they'll peel off and one will do some songs and the other, and then they'll come back together. Great show to catch out there if you catch it, Roots and Boots. But anyway, that whole era of music's resurging now through a lot of these artists we're talking about because that was their influence. And I have to explain this to people all the time, and I'm sure you do too, Marty, when people say, well, that ain't country and this is that. And I agree, some stuff should be on – we need to find some way to define our genres to where radio stations play formatted music for what people want to hear. But you can't expect people making music now, this current generation of hit makers, not to use influences that they picked up along their way growing up.
Everybody did.
Everybody did. If
Johnny Cash cut pop songs, man.
That's what I'm saying. And Hank Sr., he learned from T-Top, who was a blues singer in Georgiana.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, had Waylon Jennings had R&B, heavy rock to listen to, it would have been in some of his music at some point. So now some of the biggest hit, the Morgans and the Lukes and these guys and the Hardys and these guys, they're basically, and Eric's been doing it for a while, minus maybe some of the hip hop stuff, but they're basically taking all of their influences, which is everything. Because if you're under 50, you've heard hard rock. You grew up in the 80s and 90s with rock. You know hip hop and rap in that world because those two have merged and become a big part of pop culture. So you can't expect the new age to only play, Waylon and Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash songs because they got a lot of other influences, but their influences also are the class of 89. And now even a lot of the influences are Eric Church and Justin Moore were their people they were growing up listening to in high school, along with Nelly and, Two Live Crew and Outkast and, whoever else.
Snoop Dogg.
Guns N' Roses, Bon Jovi, Pantera, whatever they were listening to.
Yes. Look, it's so interesting to me that people want to jump on that ain't country horse. Okay, if that's how you feel, cool, there's plenty of it out there for you.
Yeah.
Look at what is as we speak right here on August 22nd, 2023 at 9:18 Central Time, what is the number one song on the Billboard Hot 100?
It's got to be your guy from the
Rich Men North of Richmond.
Yep. Oliver Anthony.
That's as country as it gets.
Yep.
It is.
Okay? So, there's plenty of it out there. Tyler Childers and Co Wetzel and these boys out there are making that type of country music. It's out there.
If you want to go back, because I like throwback kind of stuff. Charlie Crockett's been one I've been on since pre-pandemic, since he was
Sturgill Simpson. Meta Modern Sounds of Country Music is one of the greatest records of
Change the game.
Records of all time.
It is.
I said that on another podcast. If a sound that I wish I could go back and have that experience from the first time I heard it, and that was here in Sturgill. The first time I heard on WSM
so refreshing,
radio,
man. Oh.
I heard "Life Ain't Fair" and "The World Is Mean." They were playing on WSM radio, and I thought, "Is this a ad? What is this?"
If Sturgill had wanted to become a mega star, Sturgill just didn't want that life.
Right.
If he had, he would be. Because those first two records of his were just like hammers.
Yes.
Every song is a hammer.
Hammer.
And then what happens to a lot of artists is they go, okay, well, I got to make sure that I am following my heart and that it's different. And so he cuts Sailor's Guide, which was a just complete different record than the first two. And so it's just like I think about my high school days. Again, if we're all the same age, you guys might be able to relate to this. When we were riding the football games to beat the brakes off of people on Friday nights, all right, we were listening. Now, not on the team bus because our coach was one of those. It's quiet on here. You think about your job and you think about representing this town. You think about representing your family. You think about building a future for yourself. He was one of those guys.
Oh yeah.
God bless him. I love him. So anyway, it was when we're riding to the high school after we've cruised Hardee's on Friday afternoon. It is the Chronic.
Oh,
it is Nitty Gritty Dirt Band Fishing in the Dark. It is Larry Gatlin and the Gatlin Brothers, All the Gold. It is Doggy Style. It is, Warren G.
Yeah.
Regulators mount up.
Yeah, baby.
It is Appetite for Destruction. Like, we are listening to all of that stuff.
Yep. And Tracy Lawrence. And
T.
That's
right.
exactly what it was like. That's exactly what it was like.
Ain't right.
Yep.
And T-Law. And Tritt is like, Tritt is just the freaking man.
Oh, yeah.
Back after COVID, I got to go down to Travis's house in Georgia, and I got to spend a day with him on his ranch. And, like, it was open. So he let me ask whatever I want. Like, I was like, dude, I'm a fanboy here. This is going to be fullfanboy.com. And he was all in. And, man, I got to, like, getting to speak with him about that entire path. Because you talk about soundtracks of your youth. Those guys I just mentioned in that class of 89. And JR's right. T-Law and Martina and Patty Loveless and all of them are just soundtracks of my path. And another thing about it is
Hank Jr.
Of course.
I
just pulled up Country Boy Can't Survive and was watching the video intently because, remember, he's riding that barge down the Mississippi.
Yep.
I presume it's the Mississippi. It might be the Cumberland or somewhere out near Nashville. I don't know, but he's riding that barge. And the way that they go back and watch that video if y'all haven't. They flash all of these, like, up-close facial expressions of people, just random people. And the way that they did that video in the mid-'80s. When was Country Boy Can't Survive, JR? 86?
Yeah, probably 87. Yeah, somewhere in there.
And it's black and white?
Yeah.
Just super cool, man. I don't know. Again, I'll shut up. Y'all get me off on these country music tangents. I'll go all day.
No, man.
Well, that's what I wanted to do because I know how passionate you are and we are too about music and sports. I wanted to just touch on that a little, and I wanted to say that I wanted to mention to you. Have you heard of Sierra Farrell yet?
I've not.
Oh, check her out. She's like a Charlie Crockett throwback, but a female. Very good voice. I think she's from up there in Virginia, somewhere from where you're from originally, or West Virginia one.
Awesome.
But that's a new one. Is there any new acts coming along that you've picked up on lately that everybody may not know about yet that should or will?
Let me think about it. I got to think about who I've listened to that people may not know about.
Because I know it's so crazy. It happens so fast now. By the time you catch, it used to be you could, like I remember telling people about Chris Stapleton for 3 years before he did the thing with Timberlake and the Charlie Crockett thing and Sue. But now it goes so fast.
That's another point. So the simple answer to that question is I can't think of anybody right now. Because, like, I was on Childers early. I was on Coe early. I was on Whiskey Myers early. But now they're all superstars, so they don't count in this conversation.
Troubadours, all them, yeah.
I had this conversation on the radio show the other day. A co-host, so McGee was not there one morning recently. So I had a co-host named Matt Jones, who is real big in the state of Kentucky. He has Kentucky Sports Radio, extremely smart, brilliant man, great business mind, and he is Kentucky Wildcat. He's like the de facto Kentucky Wildcats media member. He brought up Fast Car. He's like, man, I don't like it. I'm not sure about it. You know, the original was perfect. And I'm like, okay, all that's fair. The original was perfect. But you got to look at it from a little bit deeper perspective than you are. You got to look at it like this. Luke cutting that song and the success of that song has introduced the original to an entire generation of kids that may not have ever heard of it.
Right.
And not only that, Tracy Chapman is the first African-American female to be songwriter of the number one songwriter in the format. I think it was June in which she was.
Yeah.
As a result of the success of that song. So that's super cool. All right?
Absolutely.
And then on top of that, I had to remind him this way. All right, you're a Kentucky guy. So you're probably a Chris Stapleton guy. If you're not a Chris Stapleton guy, I'm not sure if you're
a human
American.
You're right.
Anyway, I said, what song launched Chris Stapleton into the stratosphere? Tennessee Whiskey did. Everybody thinks Chris Stapleton wrote Tennessee Whiskey.
Yep.
George Jones and David Allen co-cut Tennessee Whiskey in 1982.
Yep. Absolutely.
And he was like,
and Dean Dillon wrote it. Dean Dillon wrote it 10 years before that.
in the 70s.
Yep.
And so you get like when if you don't know that and then you learn that, you go, oh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
It's just like,
Blazy, go
no,
ahead.
it's just like Darius Rutgers did with Wagon Wheel, an Old Crow Medicine show.
Yep.
And now it helped to introduce, people to them that had never even seen them before. It's like, no, he didn't write that. And I talked to so many people. They're like, no, it's his song. No, son, that was sang years ago.
And do you know who wrote that song? Bob Dylan wrote that song.
Yeah, I was a Bob Dylan too.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Didn't know that.
Yep.
Didn't know that.
So,
Well, and I'll tell you another one that'll get you. And it was a couple years ago. It was huge. Remember, Band of Heathens did the song "Hurricane."
Yep.
Yeah.
That was Levon Helm. That was on a 1972 called "American Son" Levon Helm song. And I always said I like it. Not that I don't like the Band of Heathen song because it's cool, but the Levon's more of a bluegrassy, swanky Dixieland jazz version, and I like that. But there's room for both of them to live, and I'm sure Levon's children and grandchildren didn't mind getting a little royalty bump once that song got put on a new album.
like
Same with
Bruce
Tracy
Springsteen.
Chapman. I'm sure Tracy Chapman didn't mind that nice bump in her residuals after that song got recut again.
And it's not a little bump either.
No.
Because that was a solo right, JR.
Right,
She wrote
solo.
it by herself, and it was the number one song on the Billboard Hot 100. Like, I'm not going to get off on this tangent. I was just going to say, what's happening with country artists being on the Billboard? Like, this is not the Billboard country chart I'm talking about. This is This is the all genre Billboard Hot 100. And
They hold the top two, right? Right now,
Top
think
three.
isn't that right?
I think
Top three.
it might be 3, but it might be 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I know
That's crazy.
it's Rich Men North of Richmond. It's
Yep.
Last Night by Morgan Wallen. It's Fast Car by Luke, and
Yep.
then it might be another Morgan song.
Or
It might be
Luke,
Taylor
wouldn't-
Swift though, which is where and Taylor, she started as country, but she's not that those
Huge
songs are
pop.
pop songs. But
Huge pop, and that's a good point there. She started as a country act. Now she's the biggest act in the world. Period.
In the
In the
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
amazing.
songs, talking about that, you think Whitney or you think Dolly Parton was mad when Whitney Houston recut her song? You know what I mean? Same scenario.
no,
there.
sir.
You imagine,
Bring it.
So anyway, I know you got a million things to do, Marty. Before we get out of here, though, I got two quick ones. One, will we see the I don't know what we call it, the music sports cowboy outfit from you again this year, like you wore at Coleman Coliseum this past year, with your number 24 Alabama basketball jersey, your cutoff jorts, and your boots and cowboy hat? Will we get
Dude, that
to see
was the
that
most-
again this year?
That was the most polarizing thing that's ever happened in my whole career.
I absolutely love it.
I never knew. So it's interesting that you bring this up because even my own wife was like, dude, the jorts are too much. don't do the jorts. The haircut thing is enough. Nobody knew. I didn't even get the opportunity to share the backstory on the haircut. There are Spurs fans who there's a barber in town in San Antonio who does that. He cuts the likeness of the players and then dyes, like creates depth in the art with hair dye. And it's super cool. And we were just trying to immerse ourselves in that culture. All right, so there's that. And then even Laney was like, dude, don't do the jorts and boots. Like, don't do that. I was like, why? It's funny. Like, who cares? I had no concept of the criticism that would come from that. Like, I had no concept that people would get that mad over. Now, granted, some people did love it. Like, I know
I was
you
going to
loved
say,
it.
we
funny.
all loved it. You know,
know.
Chief and JM and everybody in our world loved it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was interesting because I never want to be, like in the aftermath, I try very hard as a person to take any criticism or any frustration inward now in my adult life. Rather than get mad, I try to use it as a learning tool.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, I liken it to music. Dude, JR, you can't imagine how much I use the education I've gotten from my music friends in my own world. Because, okay, I never want to be the guy that chases the number ones. I want to be the guy that writes from my soul and reports from my soul. So, okay, by wearing the jorts, did I chase the number one? Because it's done 60 million views or something like that. I don't know the number, but it's done a lot of it. Like the NBA accounts put it on their social media accounts. So I know all these people have seen it.
I mean, it's Halloween costumes.
But that doesn't mean everybody liked it. There's a lot of number one songs I hated.
Yeah, true.
Okay? So I try to put myself in the seat of the consumer, which I am in music, albeit an educated consumer. And ultimately, it's all come back to, okay, here's the way I view it now. Had I stood there and done a regular report like I would do in my normal life, nobody would even remember it. But because I had that much passion and dressed that way, people are always going to remember it. So you can look at it one of two ways, man. And I don't disrespect either way. But I did try to learn from it. But I will tell you, there's a couple guys who said some things about me in the aftermath of that I won't forget.
Well, and it's not like you're a city slicker from New York City coming down to make fun of cowboys. You know what I mean? You're a redneck from the Virginia, Carolina area.
Yeah, we have that right, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got friends at home watching you wearing that exact same outfit. Maybe minus the Bama
Exactly.
jersey. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you come to one of our concerts, a third of the crowd is dressed just like that. So you're just a man of the people.
Bro. But
you're just a man
I
of
could
the
go
people.
on for days, man. I
You're
could go on for
you're
days.
right.
And
I know. Well, we'll do it. We'll save it for next time, Marty. We'll get you back in a couple months, do a little recap.
Marty, before you go, real quick, I'm in closing here. So for our audience out there that doesn't know you, like the 1%, let's say, that doesn't know who you are, I'd like to give them a little unique perspective on you. And I'd like to do it in your delivery, if that's okay.
all in.
All right, here we go. Here's my best. So Marty, he has the unique ability to construct and deliver a story like no one else. His authenticity is evident when you hear him speak. His words leave you mesmerized. His words leave you tantalized until ultimately you are hypnotized. I refer to this phenomenon as becoming Martytized. I'll leave you with that, brother. It's all true, though. That's what you do to people, man. You bring them in, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind. And second, I got to get your number because you should be doing professional VOs in that voice. You could make a lot of money on that, son.
Oh, here we go. We'll do it.
Hey, ask him in Chad Freeman voice when his book's coming out, Blasey.
See if we can switch into that one. So, Marty, I understand that you have a book coming out soon, and I really would like to read that. I can't wait to hear your words of wisdom come across there in your voice.
Very good. I love it. Yeah, please do go buy it. You can get it any book retailer starting September 26th. Right now, you can pre-order it on Amazon, or if you go to my social media, I am putting a link up. Let's just say X, Twitter, whatever you call it. You can go to my bio, and I have a link up there where you can get a discounted autographed copy through this one avenue. But September 26th, it's available everywhere. I've signed 1 million already. It's called Sideline C.E.O. leadership principles from championship coaches. Again, interviewed Coach Saban, Dabo Sweeney, Mac Brown, Urban Meyer, Jimbo Fisher, Roy Williams, John Calipari, Doc Rivers, Kim Mulkey, Patty Gasso, Lane Kiffin, Leonard Hamilton down there, Florida State basketball. There are a bunch of them. Oh, Tom Izzo, if I didn't say Coach Izzo. Just 20 championship caliber leaders. And broke the book into 8 different, what is leadership, communication and listening, self-evaluation, evolution, crisis management, trust, all of these pillars. I broke it into 8 silos and interviewed each person kind of on those silos and wrote it in an oral history format. So it's actually their words being delivered to you that way. And super cool, like so grateful for their time and insight. And then I do some storytelling before introducing each chapter about my own life and path. So I hope y'all like it. I really think that you'll get something out of it that you can incorporate into your daily path professionally, as a parent. Like my poor son, I'm going to shut up right here. But my son is 17 and a half years old. All right? He knows everything.
Oh, yeah.
Just yesterday, I used one of the things that Coach Saban said to me, but not only to me, he says this often. He goes, we're faced with 2 decisions every single day. There's that thing over here that we really want to do, and we're enticed to do, but we know we shouldn't do. Do you do it? And then there's this thing over here that we know we should do and that we have to do to be the best version of self. Do you do it? That's life.
Yep.
And I said that to my son. We're trying to do these college damn entrance applications.
Just went through that, man. I have a sophomore now, so I'm with it.
I need to send you for some coping mechanisms. But anyway, thank y'all so much for having me. I'm so grateful for that.
Thank you,
Have an
man.
amazing day, and thank all y'all for listening.
I want everybody out there to know, go check out Marty Smith on all social media platforms. Check him out on the X, Twitter, anywhere you can. Go watch his show. Listen to his podcast, and pre-order his book on September 26th. You won't be disappointed. He'll be back in a few months to catch up with us again. But thanks again, Marty Smith. We appreciate you, brother. Safe travels, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, boys.